Hey guys, what's going on? Dubs here again for another segment. Real quick, do me a favor, just hit the notification bell and subscribe for daily content. I'm really trying to grow the channel, and more importantly, just like and share the video. That's all. Just like and share this video, and like and share others like it. We just got to flood the internet with our message now. So over the weekend and the week prior, one of the favorite claims of the woke left, the media, Democrats, was that 93% of racial justice protests in the U.S. have been peaceful, according to a new report that came out. And this is like the most ridiculous claim, as if all their other claims are not ridiculous, but this is the most ridiculous one ever. Okay, this is like me saying, anything can be mostly peaceful. Guess what? The World War I was mostly peaceful. The duration of World War I was actually mostly peaceful. There were months in between battles. Sometimes the two sides sat in trenches just doing nothing for months, waiting for the other side to make a move. So that was mostly peaceful, wasn't it? No, you idiots. You blithering idiots. And I'm tired of this, and this is what they've been promulgating and pushing for a couple weeks now. And it's like to try and show people that, well, Black Lives Matter isn't a part of the violence. It's other people. They're hijacking them. Let's take a look. And they were pushing this again today on The View too, as if because I guess they're realizing it's not catching enough traction. The ACLED recorded more than 10,600 demonstrations across the U.S. between May 24th and August 22nd, most of which were peaceful. About 7,750 of those protests were linked to the Black Lives Matter movement, the report states. Peaceful racial justice protests took place in more than 2,440 locations across all 50 states and Washington, D.C. Violent demonstrations occurred in fewer than 220 locations, according to the report. So even if we're going to take that at face value, even if we're going to believe that, you just admitted that there were 220 violent riots in the span of 3 months. Do you realize what you just said, you idiots? June, July, August, 3 months. 220 violent riots, most of which were in the name of Black Lives Matter and a lot of Antifa as well. But you couldn't go to one of these fiery but mostly peaceful protests, we see you, CNN, without them pushing the Black Lives Matter message and the Black Lives Matter slogans. Now, as most of you have seen by now, as if anybody that has any objectivity or integrity left needed a reminder as to the bullshit that this is, that this is pushing. We just had 2 LA County Sheriff's deputies shot in an attempted assassination. Most of you probably seen it by now. We had a gunman just walk up to their vehicle while they're sitting there not bothering anybody and shoot them both in the head. Our thoughts and prayers go out to these 2 deputies and their family members and all their co-workers as well. We pray for a speedy recovery for them, as always. But does this need to happen? I mean, look at what is happening. Everybody, please remember this. Come November 3rd, do you really think that a vote for Joe Biden is going to make this better? Do you really think a vote for a Democrat? Notice how this is all happening in Democrat-run states, Democrat-run cities. Almost all the violence. Because they don't give their law enforcement the tools that they need to do their job. In Atlanta, there's an officer he's being charged for murder right now, just for defending his life. We had rolling blueouts, which is officers calling out and not coming into work, taking their sick time, whatever the case was, because their city is not backing them up. They're basically being told by their higher ups, die, because we're not gonna back you up if you defend yourself. The more Democrats that are in power, the more that's going to happen. The more police officers are not going to feel comfortable defending themselves or doing their job. That is totally different from distinguishing bad police conduct when it happens. But there's no longer, one half of the country no longer makes that distinction anymore. Any action a police officer takes now, it's deemed wrong for the sake of the narrative and for the sake of an election and for who knows what else. I mean, we've come to the point now where everything is ridiculous and everything is crazy. And this is just further proof. Because not only were these two deputies shot, like I said, thankfully they're alive, but on the way to the hospital, a group of protesters gathered outside the hospital that they were being taken to, blocking their entrance. Here it says at Fox News, protesters outside hospital. A handful of anti-police protesters, by the way, I saw the video, it was a little bit more than a handful, okay, but who's counting? A handful of anti-police protesters showed up at the hospital where the deputies were being treated, but soon dispersed after some tense moments with authorities who were guarding the entrance, KABC reported. A local faith leader who came to the hospital to pray for the deputies told KABC reporter that some of the protesters had been shouting slogans like "Death to Police." Protesters were blocking the entrance to the hospital emergency room and yelling, "We hope they die," referring to the two deputies. You heard that right. They were protesting and yelling, "We hope they die." Are you going to still tell me that Black Lives Matter is not violent? You're going to tell me that? Because take a look. This seemed to just get glossed over. 3 police officers shot in Maryland. They were ambushed. Okay? Thankfully, they were responding to a call, but thankfully they all survived. Shot in the vest and other non-life-threatening injuries. But they were ambushed on the way to a call. Here's another one. NYPD last night. Officers responding to a domestic incident in Queens shot at by a man in building wielding a rifle. Oh, wait, there's more. This just happened today. One arrested in connection with drive-by shooting of federal officer outside courthouse in Phoenix, Arizona. A person was arrested on suspicion of shooting a court security officer during a drive-by shooting outside the Sandra Day O'Connor U.S. Courthouse in downtown Phoenix Tuesday morning. Officials said the individual shot the security officer shortly after 11:30 a.m. outside the courthouse located at the corner of Washington Street and 4th Avenue before fleeing the area. Are we just going to just let this happen? Or are we just going to just say, no, this is okay? Black Lives Matter, go ahead. Just have at it, because that's what we do now. Now, we had Joe Biden come out after the 2 officers in Compton were attempted to be before the attempted assassination of those two officers, I should say, he came out and he said, I condemn violence of any kind. This is reprehensible. Of course, not even murmuring, because the guy doesn't even speak anymore. Holy shit, does he not speak anymore? He murmured, oh, violence of every kind is... without even mentioning Black Lives Matter, Antifa, or anything else. But that is useless. It is worthless. Do you know why it's worthless? Because he does things like this, okay? When Joe Biden meets with people like Jacob Blake and his family, that is picking a side, okay? So we've heard a couple other people say they pick a side. You're going to have to pick sides in this, and they're right. Like Ben Shapiro, Tucker, they've said you're going to have to pick a side. Crowder, a bunch of different people said this, and they're right. Because Democrats they've chosen a side. And you're not going to be able to sit this one out. You're just not going to be able to. Biden says he spoke with Jacob Blake, praised his family's resilience and optimism during Kenosha visit. Jacob Blake had just allegedly, okay, we understand, allegedly, gotten done raping a woman not once but twice. He had an open warrant for sexual assault, returned to that woman's house, and digitally raped her again. Took her keys, refused to listen to officers when they got there, because the woman that was just raped called them. He fought with officers physically. They attempted to tase him, didn't work. Refused their commands again, walked around the other side of the vehicle, reached into the vehicle where there was a knife sitting on the floorboards, and they shot him. He is not a good guy. That's a justified shooting. He is a criminal. When Joe Biden talks to him instead of, how about his victim? How about the woman that Jacob Blake raped? How about the officers? How about that? Does anybody not even give a rat's ass what's going to happen to these officers now? They did nothing wrong. And now who knows what they're going to be facing in the future? Who knows how are going to process this? People will act like cops just enjoy shooting people. Do you know that does to people? They don't want to shoot anybody. Who in their right mind would want to do that and subject themselves to that? They don't. But instead of doing that, Joe Biden went and spoke to Jacob Blake. And it wasn't just Joe Biden. It was his running mate, too, Kamala Harris. She went and met with the Blake family as well. This is what she thought of them.
Senator, how was your meeting with the Blake family today?
Really wonderful. I mean, they're an incredible family. And what they've endured, and they just do it with such dignity and grace. And, they're carrying the weight of a lot of voices on their shoulders.
And what was the message that you shared with him and his family?
To express concern for their well-being and, of course, for their brother.
Senator, how was your meeting with the Blake family today?
Really wonderful. I mean, they're an incredible family. And what they've endured, and they just do it with such dignity and grace. And, they're carrying the weight of a lot of voices on their shoulders.
And what was the message that you shared with him and his family?
To express concern for their well-being and, of course, for their brother and their son's well-being. And to let them know that they have support.
Thank you.
Hi.
So when you come out, when you have two candidates of the major political party coming out and aligning themselves with criminals. I mean, criminals. Okay? And not taking each individual incident and it's by itself, not looking at the totality of of the circumstances in each incident and lumping them all together, again, for the sake of a narrative only, just to amp up emotions in people, just to drive them to the polls, basically. And then when you have your lapdog pets in the media do all the lifting for you and to push that narrative, this is what you get. We had riots in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Black Lives Matter and Antifa riots in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Why? Because police officers were responding to a domestic incident and a man charged at them with a knife over his head, stabbing at them like this was a scene out of Psycho. Take a look at this.
Coming your way. Quarter two, two, one. Where'd they go? Get back, get back.
You see it clear as day. A big knife. The cop even retreated and everything. Clear as day. But that didn't stop Black Lives Matter and who knows who else, Antifa and these other savages and pigs that we have, from rioting and destroying all Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So when Joe Biden gets up and says, well, violence of all kinds is wrong, but it's mostly right-wing militias and the police are wrong, the police are evil, like he said in his speech the other day. The very first thing he said was the police are systemically racist. Everybody, there's some good ones, but they're racist. Black people have to worry about losing their lives every single day when they wake up in the morning. They have to worry about losing their lives. That's what he said. He didn't cut an ad saying that. So now I mean the running line used to be, well, listen, Democrats aren't responsible for the violence that some of their supporters perpetrate, just like Republicans aren't responsible for the violence that their supporters perpetrate. No, I say bullshit. I say bullshit. It depends on what they're saying. What violence do you see coming from the right? Not much. And any that are, they're not any part of the conservative groups. And you don't see anybody saying anything about violent behavior from the right anyway. The left used to say, oh, Trump's rhetoric is causing this violence. The left used to say that all the time. What would he say? Why? Because he said he wants to stop illegal immigration? That doesn't cause violence. So that's why people would say, listen, it's not Trump's fault if people commit violence on that. And then the Democrats, back in the day, they used to say things similar. So I guess some people are still stuck in that mode, like, listen, it's not their fault. But no, this is their fault. When you make up lies about the police, about the country as a whole, that are severe lies. I mean, lies like that tell people that the country is going to kill them, people that they're going to die, and that they're being severely oppressed. When you make up lies like that, what do you think they're going to do? They believe that they're fighting some just revolution now. They really believe it. And then Joe Biden, he came out and piled on again today. He did some speech in the damn cornfield. And he said that the four problems for the country were climate change, white supremacy, and a couple other things that had the pandemic, economic problems, which the economy's coming back. The only reason it hasn't come back even stronger is because states like New Jersey, New York, California are still in full lockdown. But he actually said white supremacy is the main problem in the country, with a straight face, because he didn't realize what he was saying. Probably, you could tell his eyes squint so hard when he's reading from that teleprompter, you can't even see him. So when you perpetrate stuff like this, the expected reaction is going to be this violence, and they don't know what to do. They're trying to play this balancing act. They're walking this tightrope now between, oh, violence is bad, but no, it's, the things that are bad in this country, though. So, to these people, if the things are really that bad, then violence is okay. But no, it's all lies. So here we are. And even tonight, I mean, you see it over and over again, watching the town hall with President Trump, and all the questions coming from Stephanopoulos and others are about falsehoods, just straight up falsehoods. Stephanopoulos is saying that Black Americans are 3 times or 4 times more likely to be killed by the police, when that's not true. When you play with the numbers, you can make it seem like that, but it's not. So the media is complicit in all this, and this is why we gotta, please share, like this video, share, others like it. Thanks for sticking around with me, guys, and I'm gonna come back with another segment tomorrow.